Hey everybody, this is Joe Cipolla coming from the Mitel team here at ScanSource. I am here with Kurt Kruger in the very first installment of our new Mitel ScanSource podcast, where we're going to be giving a little bit of insight and information about what's going on with Mitel, what's in the cards for the future roadmap, and how to maximize your Mitel experience. As mentioned, I'm Joe Cipolla. I'm here as a business development specialist with ScanSource, former Mitel channel account manager, and I am sitting here with Kurt Kruger. Kurt, how you doing?
Great, Joe. Thanks for having me. Just a quick bit of background. If partners aren't aware, I am PLM director for our mid-market solutions. That includes MiVoice Connect and MiVoice Business. And I joined ShoreTel back in 2010. So I've been associated with the MiVoice Connect product for quite a while. And the product we now call MiVoice Connect was first brought to market by ShoreTel back in the year 2000. And at the time, it was a very groundbreaking product. We've all had great success with it over the 2.5 decades that it's been in the market. But as we started communicating over 3 years ago, we have decided that the best path forward for MiVoice Connect customers is to make a move to MiVoice Business. Reason for that is we made significant investments at Mitel even before the acquisition by ShoreTel in terms of modernizing MiVoice Business. And that is why we believe the best answer for customers is to move from MiVoice Connect to MiVoice Business. In fact, as I said, about 3 years ago, we started communicating that transition to our partners and expected, of course, our partners to begin communicating that to their customers. That
I,
life
I,
cycle. Oh, go ahead, Joe.
I was gonna say I appreciate that background. You're beating me to the punch on the question because that was really what I wanted to talk to you about. But it's great that we got the right guy for the right topic because there've been a lot of questions flying about My Voice Connect. What's next with My Voice Connect? What's going on with My Voice Connect? Where is My Voice Connect at? And what's kind of the plan for the future? So I was wondering, with all of those questions out there, what is next for My Voice Connect?
Well, let's start by putting up a picture. I'm going to display the life cycle plan for MiVoice Connect. And this has evolved a little bit since we began communicating 3+ years ago. We made one extension in terms of that end of extended license sale date, but it is fast approaching. And just to kind of overview the entire process here, the end of extended license sales coming up December 31st of this year aligns with the end of design support in the Mitel lifecycle policy. What that means is that there will be no planned updates after the end of this year. Well, actually, we're probably going to slide into the first quarter of 2026 with our support for Windows Server 2022. But fundamentally, when that last service pack is released, any other software changes will be only to address critical issues, typically security vulnerabilities that are brought to our attention. And at our discretion, we may address those. In other words, it's going to have to be something very critical from a security perspective that's going to affect a significant number of our customers. So for all intents and purposes, you should really expect that there will be very little software change in MiVoice Connect after the end of this year. That is what should be really driving the conversation between you, our partner, and your customers. And again, the best solution we believe for those customers is to move to MiVoice Business.
Okay, no, I appreciate that rundown of the remaining roadmap for Connect. That is definitely very insightful. And I know you touched on expectations. Would you be able to elaborate a little bit of what our partners and subsequently their customers can expect going forward beyond that December 31st date for end of add-on sales coming up this year and into Q1 and beyond from a support standpoint?
Yeah, we will absolutely continue to take support tickets when you reach out with an issue for your customer. Uh, we ideally will be able to address those concerns with the feedback from our support organization. But again, if there is something that would require a software change, unless it fits the criteria I just described, that will not be something that we'll do in those years 2026 through the end of the full support period, end of technical support date there, December 31, 2029.
Understood. From a software assurance standpoint, what does the future look like on MiVoice Connect between this Q1 date upcoming and the 2029 full end of support date? What can we expect from a SWA standpoint, and are there any call outs or implications that should be mentioned?
Well, I guess the one piece that I didn't just call out is, of course, we have both hardware and software covered under the product support for this product. And we have aligned the end of hardware repair with that same December 31, 2029 date. There could be some challenges in those out years getting comparable product for the SG voice switches, and potentially in theory, even the ST voice switches. But I think we're in pretty good shape on those more modern switches. But of course, the ST models only work with MiVoice Connect. So if you still have customers running the old ShoreTel 14.2 software, in order for them to have any hardware replacement, the RMA process, they're going to need to be running MiVoice Connect software. And of course, throughout this period, that software will remain available on the Software Download Center. Heck, I just got a note the other day from a partner who was just now moving a 14.2 customer onto MiVoice Connect.
Hmm. No, that's all good insight. A question that's hot on a lot of people's minds, um, licensing, right? Because the software is one large element and component of this, but licensing, there's a lot of questions about licensing, especially as we come up on this December 31st end of add-on sales date. Uh, for anybody still on the Connect platform beyond December, are they going to be able to get additional licensing? And if so, what's that process going to look like?
Great question. We have just recently, literally within the last week or two, made some decisions about how we will handle those kinds of requests. The formal end of extended sales for licenses means a change in procedure. Even today, there are a subset of those licenses that require approval before the order is actually released. We've been fairly generous in that process. But going forward, after the end of this year, we are going to be more strict in that approval process. We will, in fact, actively engage with both the partner and the end customer to understand the plan for moving from MiVoice Connect to MiVoice Business before we approve additional license sales. I know some partners have undertaken a strategy of purchasing licenses ahead of time now to make sure they have access to those going forward. There will be an update to the lifecycle bulletin spelling out in a bit more detail what this new, more controlled process for access to those licenses will be in 2026 and beyond. So stay tuned for what will be revision 6 of the MiVoice Connect Lifecycle Update Bulletin for those details. I'm expecting that to be published here in the next couple of weeks.
Awesome. No, I'll definitely keep an eye out for that documentation to be released. But as we know, are there, or at this time, do we know if there are any licenses on the MiVoice Connect side which may not be available going forward beyond this end of sale date in December?
Well, there's only one small aspect that I know we're going to not be doing in those out years, and that is the merging or splitting of multiple systems. But in terms of the licenses that will remain available from the reduced set that are currently covered in detail in revision 5 of that bulletin, it's really about the user licenses. Today, the license categories from courtesy on up through advanced, there are 5 different license bundles that you can purchase. And there have been no controls on those up until this end of extended license sales period. The additional site licenses, the virtual phone and SIP trunk licenses, those have been under control. And actually, since we put this latest update together, what was it, probably 6+ months ago, I've lost track of time. But it's really the user licenses that will be also subject to that approval process, and the approval will be more stringent than it had been previously. We really, really want customers to get onto a platform that is actively being maintained. The security vulnerabilities are a piece of that puzzle, but there's more to it. One of the things I like to keep reminding folks is Mitel made a decision to completely modernize MiVoice Business way back, actually, right when we were acquired. We, ShoreTel, were acquired in October 2017, and that was in the midst of a multi-year re-architecture of the MiVoice Business software. And we have built on top of that with my favorite piece, which is actually the new Mitel administration for MiVoice Business, the portal that you can use to provision moves, adds, and changes on MiVoice Business. That has been a capability that was long missing, right? It's one of the ways we used to be successful as ShoreTel selling against Mitel. But we've taken some of the DNA from that director application that was one of the biggest differentiators for MiVoice Connect and brought it to MiVoice Business. And we obviously are continuing to invest significantly in MiVoice Business. Again, that's the reason that we believe it is really the best answer for our MiVoice Connect customers moving forward.
No, totally understood. And I guess as partners and customers are making their decision in that migration process from Connect to Business, surely we're going to have some folks who are going to ride it out longer than others. And with your extensive experience with MiVoice Connect and as the PLM, are there any best practices that you would recommend for anybody who is still going to be maintaining MiVoice Connect going forward beyond the end of this year and as we approach 2029?
Yeah, Joe, I hate to keep banging on the same drum here, but it really is a matter of making sure you have a plan to move that customer onto an ongoing platform. Here at Mitel, that is, of course, MiVoice Business. Uh, Beyond that, it is really a matter of making sure that the customers are able to keep their MiVoice Connect system running until they are ready to make the transition. That involves upgrading to the latest versions of software. We are just literally a few weeks away from releasing our MiVoice Connect 20.0 Service Pack 2 release. That is a significant increase in the security vulnerability remediation, specifically on the Linux virtual machines. Sorry to get kind of techie here, but the virtual voice switches, the Linux distributed voice server, uh, the edge gateway, the mobility router, all of those were in the 20.0 release significantly updated to use Rocky Linux, and that was version 9.2. In Service Pack 2, we're moving to Rocky Linux 9.6, and in that process, remediating a significant number of vulnerabilities that were still there in Rocky Linux 9.2. So really the best practice in my mind is first, have a plan for moving to MiVoice Business, but second, make sure that you've got your customer best protected in terms of security posture by planning to upgrade to the latest releases of software. There have been significant enhancements all the way, well, each release we do a little bit, sometimes a lot, like we did in 20.0, but definitely keep your customer software current with the last release that we put out.
No, that's good advice. It's definitely sound advice. So we appreciate that. We mentioned My Voice Business and that plan and what that looks like, and surely it'll be different for everybody. But in terms of resources and offers that we at Mitel here have in place to ease the burden and facilitate the future of those migrations, can you talk a little bit about what might be in store and what that looks like?
Yeah, we, again, on that same topic, had gone through a number of iterations in programs. We had different names for those programs. But with the latest updates, and this has been over a year now, we have been very clear that the MiVoice Connect to MiVoice Business migration offers that fundamentally involve a 25% discount on the MiVoice Business licenses if you're on an active support agreement, a 15% discount if that support is dormant, which I guess that was a best practice I missed, Joe. And keep support active, both
Always a
so
good
you can,
practice.
both so that you can do the software update that I was just advocating, but also so your customer qualifies for the migration offers. And those, by the way, are available both for the traditional perpetual or CapEx licensing that is the only option for MiVoice Connect. But in addition, for MiVoice Business, there's also the option to move to subscription-based licensing, or what we sometimes refer to as OpEx licensing, so that customers do not need to budget a large capital purchase to make that transition to MiVoice Business, but instead can move forward on a month-by-month billing basis. We offer those on 1, 3, and 5-year terms, and that really is largely the direction the entire IT industry has been headed, right? Moving to a subscription-based model. But I'll put a plug in for the fact that we will continue to offer perpetual or CapEx licensing for MiVoice Business for the foreseeable future. So you have that choice and flexibility when you do make that transition to MiVoice Business.
And to expand on the flexibility piece, folks can say go for the CapEx ownership of, say, a hardware or controller, and then couple that with the subscription licenses going forward if they want to mix and match, correct?
Oh, absolutely, yes. That's another piece of the puzzle here, is that our subscription licensing can be applied to any type of deployment for MiVoice Business. And those types are, again, much broader than available for MiVoice Connect. So for example, start with the most obvious, the traditional hardware controller-based approach. We have 2 physical controllers in the MiVoice Business world, the SMB controller, probably applicable to the vast majority of the MiVoice Connect customer base, and the EX controller. Those can be built in configurations where you have multiple controllers, right? So it scales quite nicely. We, of course, Mitel were the first to bring a VMware-based virtual PBX product to market many, many years ago. And we now support virtual MiVoice Business on VMware, on Hyper-V, on Nutanix. We've just announced support for KVM-based virtualization for MiVoice Business. We validate that on one particular flavor called Proxmox, but our policy is if you have another KVM hypervisor deployment that's not Proxmox, we'll take your support calls. If there's an issue found that we can't replicate on Proxmox, that could be a challenge. But fundamentally, we now cover the entire gamut of what we see for basically prem-based hypervisors, which still get deployed in cloud data centers. But I distinguish, prem or private architectures from the other big piece with MiVoice Connect, which is support for public cloud. Specifically, today, Microsoft Azure and Amazon Web Services, or AWS. So you've got quite a range of possible deployment types to talk with your customers about when they make their transition to MiVoice Business.
And one piece of the puzzle that we get some questions about is the remaining SWA element and how that affects the timeline of migration. So if, say, somebody is on a Connect system and they got a year and a half worth of SWA left and they're plotting what that next move is going to be, they can take that remaining SWA with them and roll it over to MiVoice Business, correct?
Yes, the specific language, the terms for how that works are covered in the program bulletins. On the CapEx side, it's a number of months moved over to the MiVoice Business SWA from what's remaining on the MiVoice Connect support side. And on the subscription side, it's a number of months of month-free subscription based on what your remaining months of SWA are, or product support are on MiVoice Connect. So yeah, that's a big piece of the migration programs.
Awesome. No, this is all good insight. It's all extremely helpful, and I'll be keeping an eye out for that next publication release to get the latest and greatest on what that bulletin's going to entail and include for the migration roadmap. We're teetering up real close to the border of My Voice Business, so let's say that you and I do this again sometime and cover some My Voice Business topics.
I think that'd be a great idea, Joe. We've got a number of things to talk about, including, right, the options that partners have to move forward with My Voice Business, whether it's to bring it all entirely into their own business and take care of everything themselves, or potentially partner with others to have a bit more flexibility, right? Lots of things to cover in the next session.
Awesome. Well, I'm looking forward to it. It's always good to sit down with you, Kurt. Thank you for your insight, and we'll be looking forward to the next session here.
Me too, Joe. Thank you for the time.
Absolutely. And just to call out from your friends here at the Mitel and ScanSource teams, we're here to help you with anything that comes across your plate and anything we can do to facilitate maximizing your Mitel journey. Part of what we would like to extend as an offer is any Mitel ScanSource co-branded advertising that we can help to position. Please, at any point, if there's any needs that you have or anything you want to talk through, take a look at, please do reach out to myself here at the Mitel ScanSource team. I am Joe Cipolla at ScanSource, and anything you might want to take a look at, like I said, co-branded items with us here on Mitel ScanSource that you can leverage for your customer visits, such as tablecloths, banner ups, polos, and co-branded office supplies. You let us know, we'll see what we can do for you. We're happy to help. We want to be in your corner. Thank you very much for your partnership with Mitel and with us here at ScanSource. Until next time, folks, I'm Joe Cipolla. This is Kurt Kruger. Thank you for joining us, and we're looking forward to catching up with you again here soon.